You will never ever be a successful trader. You will never be profitable if you are not learning from the mistakes that you make when you are trading. And the only way to learn from those mistakes is to be reviewing every single trade that you take. In this video, I'm going to be going over 2 trades that I took on Friday. I took about $400 loss. I'm going to show you guys what I did, and I'm going to show you guys how I review my trades so that I can learn from them and be consistent and profitable. So let's hop on to the charts. Alrighty guys, so what I am going to do is I'm going to go on to TradeZella. So that is the platform, the website that I use to review the trades that I take. So if we go on to TradeZella, we can filter here and we can look at the month of August. So if we look at the month of August, we can see here in August, so far I had a 54% trade win percentage, and that is actually on the lower side for me. I'm usually closer to like 60 and 70%, but this month has been a little bit of a rocky month, I could say. I've been having some like personal things going on, and it's just been less consistent than normal. But the trade that I'll be going over in this video is on Friday right there. I lost $342. It says I took 3 trades, but technically I only really took 2 because this trade was a break-even trade on Microsoft. But I took as you can see here, I took a $162 loss, or 5%, on Microsoft puts, and then I took a $180 loss on Microsoft calls. So I'm going to be going over both of those trades and showing you guys how I review my trades so I can learn from them. So if we go on to the charts right here, this is Microsoft. So I'm going to go over the first trade for you guys, and the first trade was calls on Microsoft. So if we do a quick review right here, this was the first trade that I was attempting, and I seen Microsoft possibly coming to this 416 area. So we were coming to this 416, 417 area, which has been a decent support area in the past. So if we look back, this has actually been an area where we had a little bit of resistance in the past, and we broke out of this area and we eventually found support here. And that is kind of where Microsoft had that mini run up to 426. So we came down, sold off, and we started finding a little bit of support here in pre-market. So I figured, you know, Microsoft can come down, find support here, and start moving higher. So the idea was not terrible, and my executions on the calls were not terrible as well. So I entered calls once I seen this candle right here. So once I seen that little doji candle right there, that told me, hey, maybe we're finding support and we can start moving higher from there. And my plan was pretty straightforward. So I told myself, hey, I'm going to enter here. My stop loss is going to be if we break below this level, and my take profit level is going to be the highs. So my take profit level is going to be the highs there, and then maybe I'll hold a contract all the way up here to the next supply level all the way up there. So very clear trade plan, and that is how I executed it. And as you can see, Microsoft kind of played around and it eventually broke below this level, and I gave it a little bit of time, but as you can see, it broke below this level, and that is where I went to sell my contracts. So that is where I took my loss, and there was a little bit of issue with my broker. So once I actually hit sell right there, it did not execute. There was a lot of volatility in the markets, and my sell order did not go through immediately, and it finally went through kind of right there. So I was, you know, as expected, a little pissed that I took an extra like 8% loss when I should not have taken that loss. And I could feel my emotions coming in, knowing that I should have taken a very, very small loss, and that my idea for the stop loss was correct. But because of my broker and because of that volatility, I was not able to sell that contract where I wanted to sell that contract. And I'm saying this because it will be important for the next trade that I took. So first trade was a loss on Microsoft. Now I'm going to show you guys how I review this trade and how I would go about this. So I go up here and you can see this little camera that says take snapshot, and I just click this and I say copy image. So then I go back to TradeZella and I go to that trade. So that trade was the calls on Microsoft, the negative $180. So I click on that, and TradeZella gives me a few things. So the first thing that it gives me is right here. It tells me where I entered. So it tells me where I entered over there. It tells me where I exited over there. And also, if you hover above it, it shows you how much you bought those contracts for. So as you can see, I bought those contracts for $5. And when I took my stop loss, the contracts were about $4. But you can also see how those contracts fluctuated throughout the day. And all I could look at was the fact that I wanted to sell right there, and that would have been only around right here where it says 416, and I didn't have to take that extra 8% unnecessary loss. But oh well. So I'm going to show you guys how I would review this trade. Also, if we scroll down, we can see this area that says charts and running P&L. So we can see our contracts a little bit deeper and see how those contracts moved. But what I like to do is I go even lower, and we can see here where it shows us how exactly our P&L went. So we can see I was down 24 bucks. I was down $26 right here. If we scroll lower, we can see right here, I was down 46 bucks. And when I finally took my loss, I was down $180 right there. But the important part here is to review that trade and to go over what I was thinking and the mistakes that I made during this trade. So I am going to just kind of paste that photo that we went over. So I have that photo right there. And then I'm going to just type right here what my plan was for this trade. So I was looking for a hold of support, and then why I entered. So my entry was on candle, seen a green wick at the demand zone. And then what was my exit strategy? What was my plan to exit this trade? And my plan to exit this trade was loss of demand zone. So that was my plan to exit this trade. And then finally, one of the most important things that we need to go over is our emotions during this trade. And I'm going to say was okay until I realized my sell order didn't execute and took extra 8% loss. So then now I know that my emotions during this trade, in the beginning it was fine, but once I see my order didn't execute and I took that unnecessary loss, I'm in a bad emotional state. I'm not in a state where I should be taking another trade until I can get over that little feeling of, damn, that should not have happened. So and then we're done with this trade. So we can move on to the next trade. We can just say mark as reviewed. So we are all done there. And then now we're going to go over our next trade, which is also on Microsoft. And it was a $162 loss. And this was on Microsoft puts. So I'm going to show you guys quickly what happened here and why we need to not be taking trades when we are in an emotional level where we're not in the best headspace. And sometimes the best thing to do is to just take like 5 minutes away from the charts, maybe 10 minutes away from the charts, because I'll show you guys how I let my emotions dictate my next trade. So if I turn on my moving averages, we can see that Microsoft was approaching the 20-day moving average. And instead of me just sitting back and waiting until Microsoft came and retested this old demand zone, which is now a supply level, because if we retested this area, we can hit that and start moving lower. But what did I do? I immediately entered a short position right there. I was having FOMO. I didn't want to miss this bigger move down, and I was not I don't know why I did that, which is why we need to review these trades. I need to put that in my journal on why I entered that trade, why I did that stupid thing, right? So I entered a short position right about there. And then as you can see, Microsoft started retracing a little bit higher, and around right here, I added to my short position. Why did I do that? I still don't know. And then if we keep playing up here, we can see I was waiting for Microsoft to test this higher area, and I added to my short position once again over there. So I went short here, I added short over there, and then I added short over there again. So this short was not that bad because at least we're testing a supply level. This is a good area to go short. This is that break. So this is that break and retest of that zone to make this thing go lower. So that was the only place that for my plan, my trade ideas, and the way I trade, that is the only area that I should have been going short. Only there, not here and not here. So anyways, as you can see, Microsoft ended up selling off for the rest of the day, but I exited my shorts about right there. So I'm going to show you guys again. I entered there, I added there, and I added there again. And now we're going to do the same thing where we send that over to our TradeZella. So I'm going to add this. So my entry where I added over there, where I added again over there, and finally where I exited over there. So we're gonna do take a snapshot, copy image, and then we come back here again and we can paste this over here. So if we go higher, we can kind of look at our running P&L as well. So if we go here, we can see when I first entered was over here. This was my ad, this was my ad, and then this was finally where I exited. And you can see my contracts were $593 when I first entered. Then they're getting cheaper, $494. So I'm adding to losers. This is not smart. And then you can see, I think that's $480. And I finally sold for $479. But I'm going to show you guys why this is not a great idea. If we go to our running P&L, so we go here to our running P&L, and I'm going to scroll lower, and you can see at one point, these contracts, I was down $563. So I was down $563. That should not have ever happened. This is way more than I usually want to lose. Me, if I'm down $300, that is a decent sized loss for me. So being down $500-600, and then if you add it to the last trade, I was down about $700, which is not where I want to be. Obviously, this ended up coming back, but it was not good trading. So we're going to go back to TradeZella and we're going to say what my plan was. So idea, chasing charts, chasing shorts, feeling FOMO, and emotional from last trade. Terrible. I had no idea for this chart. It was not part of my plan. It was not part of anything. I just entered because this thing was going short and I didn't want to miss out on the short after losing a trade going long. And then I'm going to say my entry was adding to losers, looking to be green. Only my last ad was part of break and retest area. Alrighty, because my last ad was the only area where it was actually part of my plan. Alrighty, and then my exit wasn't a great exit, just was happy I wasn't down as much, because I didn't exit with a clear plan as well. If you come back here again, you can see that the best exit would have been maybe down here when we retested the moving average. Maybe I should have been looking for a demand zone lower, but I only exited because I was like, hey, I'm down only about $200. I was down $600, so I'll take this. So it was all based off of emotions. I'm going to say very, very low quality trade. Emotions high, not a great trade at all. Lessons to be learned: stay patient and wait 5 to 10 minutes after a loss. Stop revenge trading, noob. Alrighty guys, so then now it's not just about learning from this trade specifically, or it's not the details of this trade, but now the fact that I wrote all of this down, it is in the back of my head. So when I go into trading on Monday, I'm going to learn from those lessons. I'm not going to do the same mistakes. I'm not going to be as stupid or anything like that. So guys, that is all for this video. And it was just about, learning how to review your trades, because if you are struggling with consistency, with that profitability, and you are not reviewing your trades, just ask yourself, how are you going to learn? How are you going to learn from your mistakes if you are not reviewing your mistakes? And then finally, guys, I added a new section to our private group, and that is right here. It is called Trade Review. So I'm going to post every trade review. So obviously we post our trade alerts over here. So every trade that I post in the trade alert, I'm going to make a trade review section. I'm going to post it all there, and I'm going to try to make a video like this at least a couple times a week. So guys, that's all for this video. Thank you for tuning in. If you have any questions, make sure you comment them below. And if you want to join our private group right there, make sure you hit that first link in the description. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.